Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show.
If you should awaken, I will be there when you wake from your lovely
Welcome back. Now, today, we are into the latter stages of the book, the final 10 chapters of the book. These chapters are to seriously describe what level of heaven you are going to go to. There are several levels. Some ideologies may have 6 or 7. I have 5. My research has led me to 5. The way you come to some of this research is by literally being able to interview people who have been there. When you do past life regressions on people, you are able to find out things about them that they can't tell you with their mind, with their brain. However, under a certain type of hypnosis, they will describe everything in these places, and this has been going on for hundreds of years. We have hundreds of years worth of research according to these facts. And I am not making this up. But it's quite simple. It makes sense. There are rating systems in heaven. And to enter middle heaven, you have atmospheric heaven, which is the lowest vibrational heaven there is. Then you have lower heaven, middle, upper, then you have the ethereal realm. We will go through each one of those. Last time we went through atmospheric heaven, and now we are on lower heaven. Lower heaven, let me describe lower heaven. Lower heaven is not a bad place. The one you want to avoid is atmospheric heaven. However, our existence here, depending upon how your life is going, is actually the most difficult. Your greatest hardships will happen right here. And don't forget, there's no such thing as hell, burning in hell. It's unintelligible. And so, that's just something to scare people. But you should be scared anyway about going to these lower realms of heaven. It's not a big problem to come to here, our existence right here, and go through some things if you are able to handle them. The main purpose is while you're going through these things, you are able to manage them in such a way you elevate your spirituality. That means not acting a complete fool. Now, you can get away with some things. There is a judging system, and as I explained before, in order to be judged by these systems, you have to understand that it's not your opinion that counts. It is the opinion of the people you have affected. Your spirit will be like your spirit is within them now, and you are feeling what you did to them. So the truth of the matter is, the way you treat people and your opinion of people is exactly how the opinion of you is going to be. If you don't think much of people, guess what? In the heavenly realms, you are not going to be that much thought of. If you think yourself better than people, well, we're going to explain that. A rating of 50% is all you need to do to get into middle heaven. And middle heaven is a pretty nice place. It's not a horrible place. At least you have freedom to, you have other kinds of beings there to express themselves. You're not segregated. You have freedom to go places, to explore things, to learn things, and basically set up your next existence so to elevate from there. You're not in these places to stay there. You're in these places to learn and to assess and maybe a little bit of punishment, and then decide how are you going to raise out of that situation. Now, the way this situation is measured, when I say 50%, if you think of yourself as 50 and you think of other people as 50, that's 50%. There's a chart that I'm going to show eventually. These are numbers, 1 down to 100. On the other side, it's the opposite, 1 going up to 100. So in the middle is 50. If you think of yourself equally with other people, that will get you into middle heaven. If you think yourself a little higher than people, then that's going to basically tip the scale, which basically means a numbering system, like I said, where one side starts at 100 and the other side bottoms at 100. So if you think of yourself as 75% of this scale, well, the line is going to go to 25% below 50 on the other, which means, you're going to go to this, you're going to go to the heaven that's coordinated with the numbers on this side. So 25 would get you into lower heaven, lower than that atmospheric heaven, and lower than that right here on earth. Atmospheric heaven being the lowest, that's the one that is the big surprise. That's the one where all the groups that really think they're special and really think they're going to be going to heaven and they're going to be first or only, well, that's going to get you to atmospheric heaven because of the selfishness of your whole entire ideology ought to let you know that there's something wrong with it. If you're a born-again Christian and you think you're the only one going to heaven, well, guess what? You're going to reap what you sow, but you're going to be there with nothing but people like you. You're going to be there in one group, and through the woods, there's going to be another group over there that has the same kind of ideology that you have. Like they're the number ones, but they may be wearing hoods or something. Down further, you might have the Crips and the Bloods because they're going to be there. And could you imagine Crips and the Bloods hanging out with each other for eternity until they decide to grow spiritually? That's what this whole thing is about, to grow spiritually. Now, I'm going to show you the video. This is Lower Heaven. This is chapter number 61, Lower Heaven, and we'll see you when we come back.
Chapter 61, Lower Heaven.
On the second Saturday, Jesus could not wait to learn about the next heaven, as Cleo began teaching after having her morning tea and crumpets with Mother Mary. Cleo began by explaining to both Jesus and his parents that to be accepted into lower heaven is contingent upon judgment by the elders beneath earth's surface in the halls of Amenti, the halls of the underworld, the halls of the dead.
What is this place?
Asked Jesus. Cleo responded by whispering that she did not know exactly, but she was told by her parents that it was located in vast tunnels beneath the Great Pyramids at Giza, and there were many judges there. She explained that such judgment is based upon the rating system prepared before man existed on Earth. To be accepted into this heavenly realm, a rating between 35% and 49% must be established in one's last lifetime. This category of beings consist of, but are not limited to, those who think highly of themselves. Though highly they may think, yet not so high as to believe that they are superior to others. They may have more possessions or may even insist upon it where it is possible. They may be more physical, more ambitious, perhaps in their opinion more attractive. They may be taller, bigger, faster, or maybe smarter or well-spoken. Any such trait of a sense of superiority may be the persona of a lower heavenness. Jesus found this fascinating and wanted to know more. She explained further by saying, what most distinguishes these spirits over the lesser? The compassion they must still have for others. Such compassion may be registered in the form of the uplifting of the less fortunate, giving of oneself even if they feel superior. Charitable and thoughtful are the spirits in this realm. What separates the lower from the atmospheric most is the lack of separatism in the souls of the lower heaven. Your philosophical differences may be non-partisan yet ever-inclusive. A philosophy of no one left behind is an example of a spirit with great balance.
How does one achieve such balance?
Asked Jesus. By your spiritual growth, answered Cleo. This is in great contrast to the spirits of atmospheric heaven who believe in segregation, or who have the opinion that they and they only are privileged to heaven and others are not, and they are certainly okay with that. Lower heaven can be thought of as a temporary place, although temporary in a spiritual realm may last an eternity. It is considered as such because with just a little more growth a spirit can easily grow onto a higher level with much potentiality. In lower heaven there is a vast array of spirits, perhaps the most diverse in all the four heavens. Lawyers, doctors, teachers that may be self-centered yet do much for others. They find that in this place there is extreme comfort. Here there is love to be had. There is heartache to be had. There is also pain and loneliness. Many emotions are offered here because of the growth factor, which indeed it will take to be upward bound. Unlike atmospheric heaven, there are choices to be made here. In lower heaven you can play sports if you choose to do so. In the other you cannot. You can sing songs, other than the ones imposed upon you. You can be with company, other than that which is forced upon you. You may sew garments or weave baskets of which you choose to create, dance to the music or go to an event without scrutiny.
Why is this heaven so different than the other?
Asked Jesus. You will find many differences within all the heavens, Jesus said. Cleo. Happiness is easily achieved in this simple heaven. Upper heaven is mostly spiritual, although one may sometimes choose to be physical. Middle heaven is a combination of the two. Lower heaven is almost completely physical, except for the occasional exercises in meditation, or as some call it, prayer. Lower heaven is completely communistic in nature, though this is communism in the truest sense, meaning that there is no such thing as money. Here there is barter only. If you have a machine that needs to be fixed, you need only call an expert. In return will give of what is your expertise. If they are a doctor of medicine and you are a singer of songs, then they will doc and you will sing, everyone doing that which they feel is their gift to the heaven and their gratitude for being there. If one chooses to leave lower heaven and grade downward, they may do so. If they wish to be graded higher, then that spirit must return again to the halls of a mentee to be judged. One such rite of passage could be the forgiveness of all spirits that may have harmed you in the span of your existence. The unwillingness to do so will surely stagnate your spiritual growth and development. Let us use for example the spirit of the infamous leader of the 1940s Nazi Party, Adolf Hitler. Mr. Hitler would have to stay in lower heaven until each and every person that has ever been affected by Mr. Hitler has forgiven him for his deeds. So daunting a task would this be for anyone, much less a person who was more than likely to have been responsible for the demise of more than 6 million Jews, not limited to just the ones that were killed, but also the one whose lives were affected even if they had yet to be born.
Who in a camel's heaven is Adolf Hitler?
Said Jesus. Cleo responded by saying that sometime in our teachings, the very knowledgeable pyramid priest can be quite prophetic, and this person is consistently coming up in prophetic readings.
Wow! He must be something else.
Cleo continued saying that such forgiveness could take not just hundreds of years, but perhaps millions, or as long as there is history to be studied. There in the heavens are many angels. It is a fallacy to believe that angels, in their spiritual form, went down to earth to commingle with humans. It is widely believed that large angels mated with humans, creating the large species called the Nephilim. This is in accordance with the biblical account in the book of Genesis 6:1-4. This is not true. In fact, in order for the angels to receive their wings, they must first live the corporeal life as humans. It was at that time when the angels found it almost impossible to resist the insatiable urges and passion felt between the two species. So too was the requirement by God for the corporeal existence of humans that would at some point become lords. In time the lords would become Lord gods, then gods. These gods also found it difficult to restrain themselves when it came to humans. The Nephilim were in fact the offspring of relationships between humans and their creator race Anunnaki from the Biru.
The know who from what?
Said Jesus. This too is a story for another time, Jesus said Cleo. In laboratories, the beings from the planet Nibiru had mastered the science of genetics and became the prolific provocateurs in the manipulation of materials, enabling them to create new species similar in many ways to their own. They would also splice the deoxyribonucleic acids of the various species of indigenous primates as well.
Deoxyribonucleic? Don't tell me. This too is from the future.
Asked Jesus. That is so, said Cleopatra. Lesson: be careful with your life. You may suffer for billions of years in what only took you 4 or 5 years to devastate.
Subscribe and push the like button.
Welcome back. Now you see, lower heaven is not a bad place, but it's not a place where you want to stay. You want to go at least to middle heaven or upper heaven and enjoy that for a while and then come back down, because ultimately the higher you go on a heavenly ranking, the least time you're going to want to stay there. If you think of yourself as 0 and others 100, well, that's going to get you into the ethereal realm, really. And that's for people like Mother Teresa, who risked her life just to give aid to people who you weren't even supposed to be around because they were lepers, and she didn't care anything about being a leper. She knew that was her calling, but the reason she was like that is because she had probably ventured through all the heavenly realms, and once you get up to the top, you're going to realize that serving other people is the greatest gift that you can do. The greatest light you'll ever shine is the one where you're shining to uplift other people, not about the stuff you have. The stuff you have is good for your brain and is good for showing off, running up and down the streets. However, it doesn't do you any good from a spiritual level. It just shows how selfish you are. Now, I'd like to thank people. And I was made aware that last week I finally had a video that went viral. It was on TikTok. Remember the video we had with the meditation, and we had Priscilla and Peaches here, and we went through the whole meditation exercise? Well, TikTok said that it reached above the 16% range, which is something, and that's worldwide, and that's something very difficult to do. And I believe it went there because of the need. There are a lot of entertaining things on TikTok and YouTube and everything, but we're in a stage where people need something that will help them get through all of the negative and madness things, and just to be able to, if nothing else, just deal with the madness. So they want me to send them this. The way they put it was, can you send us another hit? So what we're going to do, we're going to continue the meditation theme because we're almost finished with the book. We're going to keep going back to the book just to educate people on how we got here, where we're going, the purpose of life, and all that. But at the same time, it's also about wellness. Last week, I was able to go to the Conscious Life Expo, and that was an amazing adventure. And I picked up this thing here, and it is a gemstone from volcanic rock. And one day, I would explain the whole thing about it, but I don't know that much about it. And I'm going to have a gemologist come in, and she's going to display and characterize and tell you about the powers that all these things are supposed to have. I wanted to leave that Conscious Life Expo with something that I could, hey, I talk about the things I'm able to do spiritually, so I would like to see the things that other people can do as well. I was one where, and a young lady who was an expert on this particular stone said something very interesting. She said that this particular stone keeps out the negative energy and allows the butterflies and the bunny rabbits to come in. I said, is that a good thing? They said yes, because the bunny rabbits do this and I'm going to let them explain it, because they're going to explain it in ways that I have not understood yet, but it works. In addition to that, when we're talking about wellness, we're going to talk about healing as well. And it brings me back to my old metaphysical days. 50 years ago, I was involved with a healing type process that was very interesting, and I might have to bring that one back because, like I said, the whole world needs these kinds of things right now. This one was called Sukyo Mahikari, and it was somewhat amazing. What it is I'm from Pasadena, California. I lived in Altadena, and right next to that community is a community called La Cañada Flint Ridge. And you would go to La Cañada Flint Ridge, and there's a building there, and you park there and you go in. It's set up like a Buddhist type temple, and it's the sweetest thing you could ever imagine, because what you do there is you walk in, you take your shoes off and put them in a little cubicle or something, and then you wash your hands. Then you go into an open room, a big room, where there are people that are comfortably squatting on a wooden stool that looks like it has two sides and one in the middle, where your feet actually go underneath it, and you're sitting on the back of your. It's very comfortable. You can sit. It's not like the lotus that might be kind of painful, but it's very comfortable. You can sit like that for hours, and you see people just sitting there, and then you'll see a couple of people facing each other, with one holding their hand up above the forehead of the other, quietly, not saying anything, for 30 minutes. When you get tired, you switch hands. You're not talking to the person, you're just doing it. And you're wondering, why are they doing that? Well, come to find out, what you are able to do with this technique is quite extraordinary. They told me that it will relieve you of all your bodily toxins. So I went there and I tried it, and I would sit and if you see somebody sitting alone, you just go over there and smile at them, and you just put your hand up and then you hold it, and they sit there like this, appreciating the fact that you're. And then when you finish doing them, they're going to do you. Or if they've been there long and they got to go, they'll just go, and one next person's going to come in and do you. It's the sweetest thing, because you don't really know the person, but it's almost like appreciating a complete stranger, because you're going to have some health benefits that. Now, I don't have time to be cute with all this. I think that the only thing I can do is be very blunt. I mean, that's not the only thing I can do, but I might as well be instead of. So, it said it relieves the toxins in your body. Well, how does it do that? They do it with light energy. And all I can tell you is this. I felt better when I left. Hell, I felt better when I was on my way. I felt better going in there. I felt better being around the people. But what I didn't expect to find was every time that I went, how can I put this? I'm going to put it bluntly. Every time that I went, something would happen to me biologically, and it would affect your stomach. And then you'd have to go to the bathroom. And then when you went to the bathroom, you would discover that it had a completely different kind of a thing going on. It was like crude oil or so. It was something that you said, "What? This it's never like this. Well, why is this?" And then you realize somebody was doing this. And then you go back and ask them, "Pardon me, is it any by chance that by doing this is causing?" And they say, "Exactly. Those are the toxins that are in your body being released." Common sense, duh. But at the same time, it's really quite amazing because it's like, really? You have that much stuff in you? No wonder you don't feel great. So I'm going to introduce Mahikari, Sukyo Mahikari here. Something that you can, I might even see if it works if you do it to a mirror to yourself. I've never tried that. But like I said, it is a wonderful experience. And if you Google that in your town, you will find Mahikari centers in most cities. And you really should read some. After I tell you, go see what it is. All it is going to do is make you feel better. In fact, if I compare the meditation thing, it caused me to be able to begin to read people's minds. The first time I meditated, I learned how to meditate the way I was teaching it. I was able to really literally read somebody's thoughts, and I wasn't the only one. My instructor basically was reading them too, and that's how I got into this whole thing. The class was dispersed after he found out what I was able to do, and so I had a one-on-one guru for years after that, and that's why the way I am, thanks to the one-on-one guru that, anytime I had a question, all I had to do was just call him anytime. So anyway, we're going to be introducing you to all that. Thank you guys for coming to this episode, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we're going to be back next week, and we're going to finish up the book series, but we are going to also get in tune with our inner self with the meditations and perhaps the Sukyo Mahikari as well. Thank you.
Your dream.
Subscribe and push the like button.